So, students of class 8, the same lesson, the Christmas Truce, and this is the third presentation actually. And let us see what is there in this presentation, what we can read here. Across the way, we could make out groups of 2 or 3 men starting out of trances and coming toward us. Then some of us were climbing out too, and in minutes more there we were in no man's land, over 100 soldiers and officers of each side shaking hands with men we had been trying to kill just hours earlier. Now the situation is this: after the two officials of German and the British discussed that they are going to have no fighting till the midnight of the next day midnight, they are not going to have any fight. So they started coming out of the trenches, and there were 100 soldiers in that no man's land shaking hands, and those were the soldiers who they would have killed each other hours earlier, but now they are shaking hands. Now this is a strange sight in the battlefield. Then before long a bonfire was built, and around it we mingled British khaki and German grey. I must say, the Germans were the better dressed with fresh uniforms for the holiday. Now, the uniforms of the Germans and the British uh, mingled, they got mixed, and according to this writer, the Germans looked more smartly dressed, better dressed, and they were wearing fresh uniforms for the holiday. Only a couple of our men knew German, but more of the Germans knew English. I asked one of them why that was. No, they had a discussion regarding why the Germans, most of the Germans know English, and only a few of the British soldiers knew German. Why was that? So these are the conversations that they have, and this is the way they behave with each other in that no man's land in the battlefield. So this is a strange thing that happened there. With this, that this slide comes to an end, and let us move on to the next slide to see what is there. So here it is. Because many have walked in England, he said. Before all this, I was a waiter at the Hotel Cecil. Then perhaps I waited on your table. Now, the soldier whom this writer asked this, he was telling that many of the German soldiers walked in England, and he too had walked in a hotel. The name of the hotel is Cecil, and perhaps he had waited him also. Perhaps you did, I said, laughing. Then the writer laughingly told that perhaps he waited. He told me he had a girlfriend in London and that the war had interrupted their plans for marriage. I said, don't worry, we will have you beat by Issa, and then you can come back and marry the girl. Then the writer told, actually, that other soldier told that he had his girlfriend in England, London, and this war had postponed their marriage, interrupted their plans of marriage. And the writer laughingly told that he need not worry because they were going to be defeated by the British soldiers, by the Easter, and then he can come and marry that girl. He laughed at that. Then he asked if I would send her a postcard he would give me later, and I promised I would later. I would. Then he was going to send a postcard to his girlfriend, and was that writer going to take it to her? Then he said yes. Another German had been a porter at Victoria Station. He showed me a picture of his family back in Munich. Now his family was there in Munich, and he had been a porter at Victoria Station. His eldest sister was so lovely. I told him I should like to meet her someday. Then when the writer tells about the eldest sister of that soldier, and she was very lovely, and he told that she wanted to meet her someday. He beamed and said he would like that very much and gave me his family's address. Now the other soldier gave him the family address also. Now this what you can see here, where we are going to discuss that they are having some chats that never happens between enemy soldiers. Even those who could not converse could still exchange gifts. Our cigarettes for their cigars, our tea for their coffee, our corned beef for their sausages, badges and buttons from uniform changed owners, and one of our lads walked off with the infamous spiked helmet. I must have traded a jackknife for a leather equipment belt, a fine souvenir to show when I get home. Now, those who could not, uh, who were not actually conversing, they were exchanging gifts: cigarettes for cigars, then tea for coffee, beef for sausage, badges and buttons changed their owners. Then the writer had what? A jackknife for a leather equipment belt. And these are what? These are as the writer tells, these are souvenirs. These are something that can be shown to people after they go back home. Now, all this tells about the what it is, about the feelings of soldiers. They are also human beings. They don't want to kill anyone, but they are bound to kill one another in the battlefield. Otherwise, they will have to die. If they don't kill, they will be killed. That's why they are fighting. Otherwise, they have no intention to fight. They are like family members. They are like friends. You can see that. So, this much we can learn from this presentation. Come up with new things in the next. Till that time, bye, students. Thank you.